Hey guys, this is Melody, the massage therapist. I am no doctor. I went to school for 10 months. But Cynthia, you went to school for how many years?
I'm 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, about 18.
You went to school for 18 years?
Yes.
So she's not a doctor, but she's really smart.
No.
And she's had huge medical challenges that she knows a lot that the doctors know. And I just wanted to get her input on where COVID is today. And she's researched over the last 2 years because when COVID first hit, she was told if she got COVID, she would die because her health was so compromised that it was really a scary time in the whole world, but especially for people that had cancer 3 times.
Yes.
And that their systems were gentle. Their health was very gentle. So I just wanted her to share what she's researched because she's done a lot of research. And I may be wearing a Boston shirt, but she's the smart one.
No.
She's really, I'm so unworthy.
No.
So I gave her some questions and she's going to share where COVID is today. Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome. Anytime. Where is COVID now? Well, what I'm seeing right now is that Arizona, for the week of March 13th, they reported having like a little over 2,000 cases. And they also reported 15 deaths. I don't feel real confident in those numbers for many reasons, such as the home testing, because it's not reported. And there's several other factors I don't feel confident in. I won't go into because it's kind of a long story. But I think right now we're at a kind of a low spot, which is good because very few people are getting it. We're feeling safer. You're seeing more people out there without masks, without those plastic shields dividing us. And it's been enjoyable, being without the mask for a few weeks.
And
Now,
Costco took down their big plastic things between the cashiers and the
Yes.
people.
Several restaurants have taken down the plastic thing that divides the booths. And it's a happy atmosphere. So I think that we're doing pretty well. Although we have that sub-variant of Omicron coming in, it's here, that my gut feeling is that it's not going to hit hard like Omicron did, because so many people already have the antibodies from either the vaccine or from having had COVID. And so I think that we're doing a little bit better. When looking at COVID in the future, I think there's 2 ways we can look at it. Optimistically, we can look at it as it's going to kind of trim itself down to where we're only having outbreaks maybe in the winter, and they'll probably develop a vaccine, a yearly vaccine for it, and so that will probably calm things down. Pessimistically, though, we're just going to have new variant after new variant and keep getting reinfected, and these variants are figuring out how to get past our defense systems. I know one of the questions that you were going to ask me was about if the disease becomes milder to survive. And I did some research on that, and when I do my research, I use Google Scholar. And if you type in Google Scholar, another Google page pops up and it has a search box. And so you can put in what you want to put in there to search for. And that's generally where I get my information. And so there's scholarly articles. And one of them said that the idea that the disease gets milder is not true. And I was kind of hoping it was true.
I know, right?
But it said it is not true, and that what happens is that, to put a positive spin on it, is that we are getting an immune system built up for this particular type of virus or disease. And so it appears milder because not as many people are getting sick. So that's the blessing in it, I guess.
So what about when you had COVID? You got COVID in January?
End of January, I had
when
COVID.
everything was at a top. 28,000 people a day were getting COVID.
It was huge.
Well, 27,900.
Yes. And that particular variant, they believed was Omicron because like 98% was Omicron during that time. Although my family and I, we were really sick for 2 weeks, and most of the Omicron people I had spoken to they were sick for just a couple of days with sniffles. Now, my family ran fever, and we were sick to our stomach.
So
and
maybe you had the Delta.
maybe
and you
we
just
had
will
Delta.
Never know.
And that's one of the, I'm going to call it a complaint. It's one of the complaints I have is when they test us, they don't tell us what variant we had. So now we don't even know what we're protected from.
Yeah.
So, and another thing I wanted to point out is that when people get shots or get the vaccines for COVID, that a lot of people have the idea that, oh, well, I got the vaccine, I won't get sick. For this particular vaccine, I think we need to have the idea that this will make my symptoms less. I may get it, but this will make my symptoms less. But I think each year that vaccine's going to get better.
That's awesome. What about when people get tested for antibodies? I know that was one of the questions. And if you have the vaccine, do you show antibodies in your antibody test?
You know what? I didn't look that up.
Uh-huh.
I haven't heard anything about it, though. I need to look that up on a scholarly article.
Maybe we can put that in the comments.
We could.
When we figure it out.
Yeah. So, and you had asked me about anything I would like to add about to share the world about COVID. What I think for me is that, well, and I hope the rest of the world, is that we just need to be peaceful and kind and generous, and above all, just loving toward each other, no matter what your view is, and just not to pick fights and not let this divide us, and have respect and kindness. We really need to show that, because in my heart of hearts, I do not believe this is a political issue. It's a health issue. And we just need to take care of each other. And that means taking care of each other physically and mentally. So we just need to love each other. Think about what your purpose here is on earth. It's to love one another and obey the Lord.
Exactly. What about the masks? What do you feel about masks? Where do you feel they're effective?
I 100% believe in the masks. I'll give you an example. I was at the dentist yesterday. My hygienist, she said she didn't feel comfortable getting the vaccine, so she didn't. She has worn her mask while working in people's mouths for the last 2 years and has not caught COVID. So,
and you know she's had been working on people that had COVID.
And she's down in their mouths and everything, and they're breathing up at her. So you know she's been exposed. So, yes, I believe in the masks, and I think they work. Yes, I believe in the vaccine. I believe that it makes your symptoms lighter. So I think both are very handy. And if you are immunosuppressed, you need to be wearing that mask all the time. You really do. When you're out and around people, you've got to be wearing that mask. I am immunosuppressed, but I haven't been wearing my mask very often lately.
Because now you have the natural antibodies and the vaccine antibodies.
We have both, which should help with any COVID infection, but the germs themselves are looking for a way to get in you and really be able to multiply. So, yeah.
And so what about the antibodies? How long? Like once you've had COVID, it just varies with people. Some people, they get their antibody, they have them once and their antibodies stay with them for like ever, right? Is that my understanding? And then other people, it could be 90 days and the antibodies are gone. Have you heard that
Yes,
too?
I have read that in many of the articles, and it's varying. And one of the things that I really was trying to research was which was stronger, the vaccine antibodies or actually having the virus antibodies. And you know what? I read a lot of differing articles about that. The majority of them said the vaccine antibodies were stronger, but I don't know if I think we have a lot to learn about this virus.
And the human body is really good at, once you have had COVID and you have the antibodies, I think I heard someone say, it's like our bodies are better at protecting us than the vaccine. I mean, once you
get it, right,
yeah.
right. But I'm going to go ahead and get my yearly shot when it all comes out. It's not that big of a deal to me. the shots have never affected me where I felt bad or anything. So it's
Right. Are
it's
you
all
O
good.
positive too?
I am O positive.
Me too.
Yeah.
I hear we're hardier against COVID.
I hope we're hardy.
I know, right?
I do. But, I had the vaccine, I had the virus, and I do notice that I am still a little bit short of breath. And I talked to my cardiologist about that, and he said, well, we need to do an echocardiogram to make sure that COVID did not hurt my heart.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of waiting on that. But COVID, I think, affects you in many different ways. It affects everybody differently. And
It does.
so we need to keep that in mind. And we also need to keep in mind that if somebody is comfortable wearing a mask, don't say anything. Let them wear the mask.
Exactly.
So we can all be living in peace and living as much of our lives as normal as possible. That's what we need to do.
And I know when you think about exactly, living as normal as possible.
Mhm.
And if you sneeze into a mask or you sneeze out into the air, there's a big difference.
There is a big difference. Just putting your hand here will stop some of it.
Exactly.
So yes, it does work and it is effective. So, but I truly do believe you can get it off your hands. People need to remember this. I believe that when my nephew brought in COVID to the family, I think he got it on his hands in the airport. And you know how little kids are. They're going to rub their nose and their eyes and everything else. And so then everybody else got it too.
We still have to remember to wash our hands.
But we should have been doing that all along.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
we should. So this is all really my opinion. So
Right.
please take it at that.
Exactly. Was there anything else? I can't remember.
There were, watching COVID, there's two factors to watch. And I've kept this in mind the whole time. You need to watch for the frequency of COVID popping up in your community, and you need to watch for the severity and see how bad it really is. For example, Omicron didn't seem as severe as Delta, although from what I read, it's pretty close to being just as dangerous, but so many people were affected by Delta or had had a vaccine that it didn't seem quite as bad.
Right. And then I've heard like 75% of people in America have had COVID now.
Right.
And in other countries, it's like, what is it, 65? Like
Lower. No,
Lower.
quite a bit lower. And so some of this COVID hit them really, really hard.
So now at what point is it herd immunity?
I have read, some people refer to it as 70%, some people refer to it as 80. I think it's more
Okay.
like 70.
Wow.
I do. And from what I read, in the US, at least 60% of Americans have had some form of COVID, and 50% of Americans have been vaccinated. So at this point, if you kind of mesh all that together, we might have some herd immunity. But I think it might be a little too early to guess on that,
Yeah.
because this is a novel virus.
Yeah.
I know it's 2 years old, but there's still a lot to learn. So, we'll know something much better 20 years from now, and COVID may not even, it'll probably be a word in their vocabulary or our vocabulary, like the flu, that it comes in like that. At least that's kind of what we're hoping for.
I know, right?
So I think we're all going to do
So
okay.
we've been living through a pandemic.
We have been living through a pandemic.
So we just keep moving forward, one day at a time, and God's on our side.
God's
and,
on our side.
and was there anything else? I can't remember.
There wasn't.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, you have a big door. Right here.
They just wrestle all the time.
It's so much fun.
They